Three, two, one. All right. It's Livepeer time. My name is Mihai. I run protocol research at Masari, and I've got today together with me Doug and Eric. Eric, how about you start with a short introduction about yourself, and then we move on to Doug.
All right. Hi, my name is Eric Tang, and I'm the co-founder and CTO at Livepeer. We've been working on Livepeer for about 8 years at this point, and I come from a traditional video streaming background. Okay, I'll speak up a little bit. I come from a traditional video streaming background, and we've been building Livepeer for the past 8 years at this point. Kind of started out working on open research around the Ethereum community, and now here we are.
And I'm Doug Mechanics, Eric's co-founder of Livepeer. I serve as the CEO of Livepeer Inc., one of the companies that builds core product around Livepeer and does a lot of the core development. Eric and I have been working together at Livepeer for 8 years. We also worked on 2 startups together previously, so we have 15 years work experience together, always building infrastructure, data technologies.
All right. Thank you so much for this. I myself have been covering Livepeer for several years now. I'm very excited about the developments that you guys took over the past several years. And one recent example that you went into was the Gen AI capability. And for this, we have prepared one video example to showcase some of the capabilities that Livepeer has in store for us.
Imagine a world where creativity flows as freely as thoughts. Physical interfaces dissolve as AI evolves, bridging the gap between ideas and execution, bringing visions to life at the speed of thought. Where you can shape entire worlds with a gesture, responding to every mood, every beat. A limitless canvas powered by generative AI, transforming imagination into reality. Livepeer AI fueling creativity.
All right. Doug, could you tell us a little bit what we've seen just in this video?
Right. So what did we just see? What did we look at? For here's Livepeer's had the mission to build the world's open video infrastructure, and that's manifested in hundreds of developers building video streaming applications on top of the network, from social media to creator economy to event broadcast. And, we power over 3 million minutes of video streaming per week. What we just saw is a glimpse into the future where, AI is a very hyped topic. We've heard a lot about it today. But it's really inspirational. It's undeniably going to have a huge impact on the future of media, and particularly video. That video that we just saw was entirely generated using creator-focused AI video tools. And just from a glimpse of that, like a 30-second commercial, if you will, you can say how disruptive generative video is going to be to advertising, to entertainment, to communication, to creativity. And as AI impacts video, it actually requires 1,000 times more compute than AI's impact on text, or 100 times more compute than images, for example. And it just so happens the Livepeer network, which is a network of thousands of GPUs all around the world that are already used to stream and encode millions of minutes of video, can be put to use to generate videos, to use AI to upscale and enhance videos, and to be the infrastructure that powers the future of AI-generated video and media as well, especially when you combine it with all the software around Livepeer that powers the rest of a low-latency streaming stack. So it's really exciting. We're really focused on that for the future, and happy to dive in and talk a little bit more about that today.
Could you tell us a little bit about the use cases that you have in store for these capabilities? So what is the next generation of users that you have for Livepeer AI?
Want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. So when we look at video and AI and the intersection of that, let's just say like media-centric AI, we think about them in kind of 3 verticals. One is around generating new media, right? So these are, what you saw like for the commercial, for example, is completely generated as new media. Sometimes is using text to video, sometimes is using image to video, right? But we're creating new types of content. And that's very powerful. Another category of usage is around altering existing videos. So for example, you can now use text to create visual effects, which may have cost a lot of time and a lot of money in the past. You can, for example, during a live stream of a fashion show, you can click on the model's dress and say, now turn this dress into like the fire dress from Hunger Games. And that special effect will be immediately applied onto a live stream that goes out to millions of concurrent viewers. Another type of AI that I think is really important is around video and media understanding. So this is around pulling out information that represents these media assets that us human understand, but computers currently do not understand, right? So these are things like being able to understand what are the objects that are in these media assets, or what's the story behind the media assets. AIs are now capable of summarizing over a video clip and understanding exactly what it's doing, right? So all of these things have pretty dramatic impacts around how media assets can be used, whether around advertising or around creating new AI models that continue to train these AIs and making them much better. So those are the three kind of categories that we think about.
So when we look at these use cases, how do you guys track adoption? Do you have like specific KPIs that you look at on a recurring basis? Maybe Doug, this is something for you.
Sure. I think a lot of Web3 projects, a lot of crypto projects talk about metrics that are maybe not connected to utility, right? They talk about how many token holders they have, or how much volume they're trading, or total assets locked in protocols. At Livepeer, the main metric that we look at is actually we're trying to gauge the utility of this network, how useful it is to the end users at the end of the day. And our best proxy for that so far has been how many minutes of video are being processed on the network. And now in the age of sort of these AI jobs, how many AI compute jobs are being processed on the network. And ultimately, the North Star for that is how many dollars are users actually paying in to access the utility of the network. And so we sort of look at the growth in terms of dollars spent in the protocol by users for transcoding, for AI. And we've seen some nice growth on that recently as we've introduced these new capabilities.
Yeah. Perhaps following up on that, do you foresee any ways to monetize the Livepeer AI capabilities for the future? What are some potential business models coming out there from monetizing AI?
Yeah, what's interesting is in these token coordinated networks, Livepeer is coordinated by the Livepeer token. It's under the work token model. Users hold it, they stake and deposit it in the protocol if they want to do work to help power the network. In exchange for doing that, they earn some new Livepeer token, sort of ownership is being issued out to those who are doing the work, and they earn a portion of the fees that are spent on the network as well. And so, you ask about business model, I think the power of these protocols is that they're actually open access, permissionless, and whoever is doing the work has a built-in business model based on earning fees for doing work, but also participating in the upside as there's more fees generated as these networks become useful. So that's sort of the primary model and the way many people participate. But that's not to say other companies can't build, product businesses on top or proprietary businesses on top, whether that's SaaS type products like the Livepeer Studio Gateway, which is sort of an entry point to live streaming on the platform that bundles all sorts of video services, events-based products like Streamy that powers live streaming out of conferences and events and charges for production support and SLAs and monitoring. Right. So in the age of AI, I think we're in the early stages, but we'll see all sort of cutting edge AI businesses around inference, creator tools, creativity built on the network.
So you mentioned the businesses building on top of Livepeer, and I'd be curious, Eric, who is in the Livepeer ecosystem, who is currently building on the new Livepeer AI capabilities? And how many touch points do you have with these businesses?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the folks who are building in the ecosystem are kind of the lifeblood of the ecosystem. And so I just want to highlight, we have a cohort of startups that with 8 companies who have been building on these new AI capabilities for the past X number of months. Actually, the demo day is coming next week. Everyone should go check out the demo days. And the interesting thing about these 8 companies is that they are they're from all kinds of use cases and all walks of life, right? So not just all Web3 companies, but a lot of them are building for kind of just traditional consumers of AI products. And the other thing that we are discovering is that they are kind of using these AI capabilities in pretty surprising ways, in ways that we definitely did not think about when we were building these services. So I think that that's a really good signal on just how widely applicable these capabilities are across industries and verticals. And of course, this is kind of the AI component, which is quite new and emerging for Livepeer. There's also a wide number of companies that use Livepeer for video streaming. So these companies range from some of the largest companies in the world that are, the top 100 in the top 100 list that we have an NDA with, so I can't mention. But there are also companies that are a little more emerging. So companies that help other companies manage their live streaming workflows, or help government organizations manage their town halls, or event organizations like Burning Man or Ethereum DevCon that use Livepeer to stream those events to millions of viewers around the world, or even nonprofit organizations like God Behind Bars that uses Livepeer to stream church sermons to millions of inmates that are around the U.S. So, video is 80% of all the traffic on the internet, and for these types of foundational infrastructure like Livepeer, there's just a lot of different types of areas that it can be adopted.
Yeah, I think one interesting example when it comes to AI is if you look at video streaming or video transcoding, the usage on the network is sort of limited by how quickly those applications grow. Like, you only need to transcode as much video as your users are creating or sending in, right? But when you look at some of the use cases around video AI, like Eric was referring to, understanding video or doing analysis on video, you actually see use cases where people want to feed in almost infinite data. They want to feed in every video they can find in order to understand it, in order to maybe train their own AI model, generate metadata for recommendation engines or insights. And so, we saw some fee growth on the network 2 weeks ago. It essentially tripled the amount of fees on the network in a 1-week span, because we saw one startup in the startup program doing this big analysis run on understanding fashion trends inside of videos, actually. And they fed in, hundreds of thousands of images and videos to understand this. Requires a lot of compute in a burst. And that's like, oh, you're not actually capped by how many users are going live in your streaming platform. You're capped by, the infinite demand for data. And I think that's really powerful.
Right. So you mentioned emerging businesses that are experimenting with the new AI features. So I was wondering, how are these businesses actually being funded? Is there something actively that you support at Livepeer?
Yes. Yeah, they're as you can imagine, they're at all different stages, ranging from pre-existing companies that have raised money before and are maybe adding AI into a product, to 1 or 2 person entrepreneurial hacker teams that are just moving quickly and trying to run an experiment in this new world of AI. A cool thing about the Livepeer ecosystem is that there's a lot of public goods funding available to support builders who are contributing to Livepeer, or maybe running cutting-edge experiments at the forefront of these capabilities as design partners. And so Eric said we're running a startup program. There's 8 startups in there. They've all received a grant of Livepeer token that can be used to convert into dollars to pay fees on the network for credits as they're using AI. It's a great way to help support it. And it comes directly from our grants node and community treasury, which are basically governed by the community, and the community approves these release of funds.
Right. I've been wondering, this whole trend with generative AI for video has been here for a while, and I've been wondering, what is the value proposition of Livepeer out there relatively to other competitors? And here you can include both traditionally centralized, established businesses like big tech, but also maybe some other decentralized networks activating in the same space. How do you see the competition?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really great question. And this kind of touches on, I think, a lot of deep projects, right? Like, what is the actual competition for a deep project? And I would argue, uh, just like the competition for DeFi is TradFi, right? The competition for DePIN is TradPIN, or like the traditional infrastructure companies out there, right? So these are horizontal like infrastructure companies like Amazon Web Services that just provide lots of different developer platforms, developer services, and then that's how we think about it. And I think it's a healthy way to think about it because um, at the end of the day, we're fighting for developer attention, and the product needs to be good enough and needs to be really differentiated in the market, regardless of whether the competition uses Web3, right? And that's how we win. So for example, we recently were included in a study report that's at International Broadcast Commission by this research firm called Corrado Research, and they kind of compared Livepeer alongside of all the other infrastructure providers out there that are cloud based. And what they found is for the streaming service, Livepeer provides the same quality at a 75% more cost reduction, right? So we think that's for the streaming side. We think for the AI side, that's going to be a very similar story where we can dramatically reduce the cost and increase scale. And I think that's where that's where we will differentiate in the market. Now, in the Web3 side, there are companies that or projects that do work on a decentralized take on how video works or how AI works. The way that I tend to look at it is around um, composability, right? So because Web3 is very composable, and that actually opens up a lot of opportunities for us where projects may seem a little competitive are actually great partners. As an example, there are a lot of GPU networks out there, whether it's Akash or IONET, right? These types of projects. I actually think they are great resources for orchestrators on the Livepeer network, where they can go rent GPU time on those networks and run the AI inference service in the Livepeer network. As long as those GPU networks are price competitive and they have good services and good performance, those orchestrators that use that infrastructure should be also competitive in the Livepeer marketplace, and that's good for everybody.
Right. I would like to follow up on the point that you made versus traditional businesses. So you mentioned that on the one hand, Livepeer helps reduce the cost while keeping the utility level at a similar bound. I was wondering, in a world where we're going to have actually costs being beaten up, going down a lot, what is going to be the differentiator on the utility side, on the capability side? Do you have something in store that you think will move the needle in this competition with established players?
Yeah, really great question. I think this is something that's really exciting that's happening in the AI space, right? Which is there's just so much open innovation that's happening. Yes, there are the open AIs of the world where they are training their proprietary models, but I think what we're seeing is that while OpenAI was the dominant player like 2 to 3 years ago, that is rapidly changing today. There are all these good open source AI LLMs that are just as good as GPT when it comes to performance benchmarks, right? So all of those are openly available for developers to come and download and tweak and apply that to their own use case. So we're already seeing that. For example, the most popular image generation kind of AI technology is no longer Midjourney. It's actually Stable Diffusion, which has 4 times the amount of adoption from top apps because it's an open source model, right? So we think that a Livepeer being an open marketplace is going to really benefit from that. Now, the other thing that we're working on is kind of leading the market on the infrastructure service side. So we're working on technologies that will enable real-time inference on real kind of live streaming workflows. That's something that's not available in the market today. and we're working on that. I think in the next 6 to 8 months, you start to see us start to really push the boundaries for the whole AI ecosystem, regardless of Web3 or Web2.
Yeah. I would just add, Livepeer has always been relentlessly focused on its video-specific mission. Unlike many DePIN projects, decentralized tech projects that say, we're decentralized compute or we're decentralized AI, that's a very generic statement. Like the product they can offer is just either access to a server or an ability to submit a compute job and get an answer back. But video is a huge market, right? It's like a $200 billion streaming market, and it requires really specific product for a really specific type of developer. You need like low latency video ingest all around the world. You need video specific compute and transcoding in all protocols. You need storage, you need delivery, you need this whole stack. And because Livepeer has this mission, we know who our users are as people building video and media applications. Think about when it comes to AI, these developers aren't just going to say, oh, I want to just do an AI video job. They're going to need to do all these other things around video as well. And Livepeer is really well suited to meet their needs, unlike sort of more generic DePIN project that says, well, you could send a job here, but then how else are you going to handle everything to do with video? So it's sort of serving a different market and a big market, and that's helped us a lot.
All right. So when serving this different market, what is in store for Livepeer moving forward for the next 6 to 12 months? What is on the roadmap, Eric?
Yeah. So Livepeer has in the last I think 18 months has gone through a pretty dramatic change in terms of the structure of the project. So now we have six or seven special purpose entities that are in the ecosystem, all with their own roadmaps, different teams funded by the treasury in a very decentralized way, right? So to be honest, I can't even keep track of all the roadmaps that are happening in the ecosystem. But I can speak a little bit about from my perspective what's happening, right? So there are a couple of things. First of all, we're going to continue to support AI developers in the ecosystem. We'll continue to do the next cohort of the startup program, right? Inviting entrepreneurs and builders to come and use these new capabilities on the network and really be design partners in the way that we work with them, getting close feedback and developing the product for them. Second of all, we're launching a kind of enterprise-ready AI gateway service that has high performance, high SLA, like enterprise support, like everything that an enterprise company would need to really use this network at scale, right? So, and that's something that we've done really well with like the Livepeer Studio product already. So we're kind of using that same playbook to create this AI service, right? Another thing, I talked a little bit about how we're gonna lead the market in terms of product development and product capabilities, and that's where real-time AI is going to come in. We're developing new technologies around accelerating AI inference, especially for media AI inference, to really kind of optimize the performance around fitting everything on the same GPU or running things on multiple GPUs at the same time, right? All of these kind of pretty low-level foundational technologies are going to enable whole new use cases. So for example, you can have a video AI agent that sits on your video calls and give you real-time feedback that's very different from kind of the traditional, just AI record, like a video recording bot, right? So you can start to interact with it. Or every high school sports game is going to have an AI that sits that sits in the cloud and is able to summarize what's happening in the game in real time and give coaches recommendations in real time, right? So those types of things will become enabled by these types of real-time AI capabilities that we haven't seen in the market yet, and I think that's quite exciting for us.
All right, so there's a lot on the roadmap in the direction of real-time AI. Now, Doug, for you, how are you going to assess the success of these initiatives? So, what lenses are you gonna have at to what extent the investment was worthwhile and the direction that you're ultimately going to choose is going to be the one?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like the traditional answer, and then there's the answer in the age of a decentralized open project, right? So the traditional answer, you can't get away from just traditional signs of product market fit, adoption, growth in the utility, growth in the fees that are being paid into the network. It's not about profitability for a company. It's about, is this network actually, capturing and delivering value, right? And so all these, building into the future of AI-enabled video, leading in real time, all in service of sort of finding and accelerating that fit there, right? But then in a sort of community-owned, open access, decentralized tech project, especially in an industry where access is prevented via regulatory capture and via like lack of access to compute, you can actually look at the impact that you can make on the world just in terms of decentralization, in terms of access. So how many builders are building on this network? What are they doing with it? Were those things possible or not possible in their jurisdiction or under like centralized cloud advertising models, these sorts of things. And I think there's a lot of value in sort of video as a public good that's enabled for the world as such an important form of media as well.
All right, we've got 2 more minutes. What excites you guys?
Uh, I, I think we're at a moment in time where kind of video-centric AI was kind of where like LLMs was like 2 to 3 years ago, where like even the research community is just starting to discover the power of video AI and really how to make those AI models really perform, right? So as an example, today, we have these very large LLM models that, Meta has used most of the internet's information, text-based information, to train their Llama model, right? So we're kind of running out of text-based data to like improve these models. So what's next? Well, it's all the media that's available, which is way more rich in terms of the information that's embedded in them. But companies haven't really been able to extract all that information in a really effective way that's scalable and cost effective to then go in and train these models, right? So I think in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll start to see all of those new models come up because we've made enough progress in extracting that information. Another thing that's really exciting is these AI. So the way these AI models work is, the AI kind of translate these video footages into the embedding space, right? And once the data is in the embedding space, you can actually use AI to interact with that data in the embedding space. So it's almost like you have a database of all of the video content that's been created, and now you can have a natural language interface that interacts with that database to pull out information, to generate new information, right? All of that is going to be really, really powerful. And we're just starting to figure out how to represent data in a 2D dimension, because in the LLM world, it's kind of like 1D dimension, just text, right? Now, when information is being represented in 2D dimension for the embeddings, it's going to unlock a whole new wave of innovation that I'm really excited about.
Doug, you've got the last words.
Yeah, parting thought. I mean, I'm just really excited about all the energy within the Livepeer ecosystem right now. Livepeer is a cool and complex beast. We have this token coordinated network of thousands of participants running the network, staking on the network, building on the network. And there's a lot of substance there in terms of the usage through both video streaming and AI. So opportunity for everyone to get involved. Check us out at livepeer.org, and our community will welcome you.
Right. Thank you so much. At Masari, we're researching day and night about open infrastructure networks such as Livepeer. In case you want to read our research, head out to masari.io/research. Thanks again, Doug, Eric.
Thank you.